So, what happens when someone you really look up to, a teacher, a mentor, tells you that your biggest dream is just impossible? We're going to dive into a pretty powerful story today that's all about that exact moment. You know, that clash where your passion runs right into a wall of doubt. I mean, really think about it for a second. Have you ever been there? When you're so excited about something and someone just shuts it down? Well, that is exactly what happened to the young boy in our story. But what's amazing is how he decided to face that challenge head on. Okay, so let's meet our main character, Robert. His dad was a horse trainer, and that meant their life was, well, always on the move. They were constantly going from one stable to another, one racetrack to the next. And for Robert, that meant his school life was always getting turned upside down, you know? It was tough to ever feel settled. But even with all that chaos, he had this one super clear vision for what he wanted his future to be. So one day in class, his teacher gives them an assignment: write an essay about your dreams. Now, for Robert, this wasn't just some homework to get through. No way. He poured his entire heart and soul into this thing. We're talking a detailed 7-page plan. He didn't just write, "I want a horse ranch." He drew it all out. A 200-acre property with a hand-drawn map of the house, the stables. He even included the training tracks. The whole shebang. So you can imagine he hands in this essay feeling pretty proud, right? I mean, he basically put his entire future, his whole world, right there on those pages. Yeah, he knew it was a huge, ambitious dream, but he figured, hey, everyone's got a right to dream, don't they? But then comes the reality check, and it was a brutal one. When he gets that essay back, his heart just sinks. Scrawled right across his incredibly detailed, passionate plan was a giant red F, and underneath it, a simple, chilling note: "See me after class." So after class, Robert goes up to his teacher and asks, why did I fail? And the teacher's response was just blunt. He told Robert his dream was completely unrealistic. His reasoning? Well, Robert's family was transient. They had no money, no resources to pull off something that big. But the teacher offered him a deal. Write a more realistic essay, something more practical, and maybe he'd change the grade. Robert was just crushed, absolutely devastated. He went home, showed the paper to his dad, and just laid out the whole story. He really needed advice from the one person he knew would get it. Now, his father listened to the whole thing very carefully, and he didn't give him an easy answer. Nope. He gave him something way more valuable. He looked at Robert and said, "Son, this is your decision to make, and yours alone." He laid it out. He could give up on his dream to get a better grade, but that could become a habit. Or he could hold on to that dream no matter how tough it seemed. So Robert spent a whole week just thinking about that. It was a real moment of choice for him. He'd been criticized by his teacher, he'd gotten this really wise advice from his dad, and now the ball was in his court. He had to make the call. And in the end, he chose his dream. The next week, Robert walks right back into that classroom. He goes up to his teacher and hands him the exact same 7-page essay. No changes. And he looks him in the eye and says, "You can keep the F. I'm keeping my dream." Okay, so let's fast forward a bit. Years go by, and all that time, Robert held on to that dream with this incredible, unbreakable determination. He never, ever let go of that vision he had so carefully mapped out on those pages. Then, one day, completely by chance, that same teacher, he's retired now, is taking a group of students on a field trip. And as they're driving through the countryside, they pass this magnificent, sprawling horse ranch. It was just incredible. A huge 200-acre property. And here's where the story gets really good. The owner of this amazing ranch comes out to say hello to the group. And to the teacher's absolute shock, it's Robert. The boy whose dream he had completely dismissed all those years ago was now standing right in front of him, the owner of a ranch that was a perfect, living, breathing version of the drawing from that old essay. Well, you can imagine how the teacher felt. With a really heavy heart, he walks up to Robert and tells him he has something to confess. He admitted that the real reason he gave him that F was because he himself once had huge dreams, just like Robert's. See, he explained that somewhere along the way, life had just beaten him down. It convinced him that big dreams were just fantasies, meant for paper, not for the real world. He said he wasn't trying to be mean to Robert back then. He was actually trying to protect him from the same pain and disappointment he'd gone through. He was basically projecting his own broken dreams onto this kid.
And the teacher told him, with so much regret, "You know, over the years, I've told so many kids that their dreams were impossible, and every single one of them believed me. But Robert was the only one who didn't. He was the one who held on, and in the end, proved that teacher completely wrong."
And Robert's response was just a warm, understanding smile. In fact, to this day, inside his 4,000 square foot house on that ranch, he keeps that old essay, the one with the big red F on it. It's framed and hangs right by the fireplace. It's not there to remind him of failure. It's a symbol of his victory. And this right here really gets to the core of it all. See, Robert's success came from a really powerful shift in thinking. He didn't just have a dream, something to just see in his mind. He turned that dream into a goal, a real, tangible target that he was absolutely determined to hit, no matter who told him it was impossible. So that kind of brings us full circle, back to you. After hearing Robert's story, I have to ask, what's that so-called unrealistic dream in your life that you are absolutely going to refuse to give up on?